The NASCAR Cup Series returns Auto Club Speedway for the first time since 2020, and we see potentially the best Cup Series race in Auto Club history. What's going, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the NASCAR Cup Series race from the Wise Power 400. We're going to go ahead and talk about it. We've got a lot to talk about from this race. So, for the green flag drop in today's race, a ton of cars would have to go to the rear of the field, because coming in this weekend, and especially yesterday and during the practice qualifying sessions, we saw a lot of single car spins and a lot of cars that would have to go to the rear of the field. This included Ross Chastain, who crashed really hard in practice yesterday. Kevin Harvick, who spun out, did not take qualifying time. Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, and Justin Haley would all have to go to the rear. Also, Kurt Busch would also have to go to the rear, and he would also have to get a pass-through penalty as well after failing inspection 3 times. And it also was announced that there was going to be a competition caution on lap 20 as well, because he added an extra set of tires. So, we're now going to jump into the race. So, at the green flag, at Austin Cindric on the outside and Eric Jones on the inside. And Eric Jones gets a really good start in the race, and he's able to take the race lead. Now, Eric Jones leads for a little bit, and then on lap 8 of the race, we would see Tyler Reddick get around Eric Jones and take the race lead. And the first incident of the race and the first caution came out on lap 15 for Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch just started falling back a little bit. Looked like his car was going to start coming in, but unfortunately on down to backstretch on lap 15, he was spun down to backstretch. Luckily, he did not make contact, but he did have some flat tires, and he would bring out the caution in this race. Then we see because of this, we see the competition yellow come out, and we see all leaders come down pit road, and Tyler Reddick will remain the leader off of pit road. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney will lose the right front lug nut and would lose a ton of positions. It fell all the way back to 16th because of that. So on the restart, of Tyler Reddick on the outside and William Byron on the inside, and we see Tyler Reddick keep the lead, but we see Chase Elliott's car really start to come in here in the early portion. He eventually got around Tyler Reddick for the race lead. But then around 10 laps later, we would see Chase Elliott unfortunately get into the outside wall and get a ton of damage, and he would lose the lead to Tyler Reddick at that point. And then Chase Elliott started really losing a ton of ground and would get past again, like I said, for Tyler Reddick for the lead. And then we see Kyle Busch come down the road for overheating issues. Now, this is something that would be a big concern for Toyota throughout the day, but Kyle Busch was the first Toyota to run into overheating problems. And then the second caution this race would come out for Chase Elliott spinning, who was running 6th at the time after having something break on the car. He would spin from basically had no contact, but basically spun out during the backstretch, bringing out the caution. And then we see the leaders all come down pit road with Tyler Reddick actually keeping the lead, but he started complaining about his leg going numb. Now, it's something you don't really see that much, but it seemed like he was having seat problems. Also, Christopher Bell would have some issues with overheating as well to keep him on pit road, and Daniel Hemrick would have his crew would go to the right side when they'll try to fix some issues with the shifter, and Daniel and Austin Dillon would get penalized for speeding. So on the restart, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick on the outside, and Eric Jones on the inside, and we see Tyler Reddick keep the race lead. And then Tyler Reddick had the lead for a little bit, and then the next caution in the race came out for Josh Bilicki. Josh Bilicki was spin coming into turn number 2. Unfortunately, he did basically not get any damage, luckily, but he did unfortunately spin in the grass and got stuck. And then we see a little bit of strategy where Kevin Harvick tried to stay out for a lap, and with Tyler Reddick coming off pit road, and then Kevin Harvick came down pit road. So on the restart, Tyler Reddick on the outside and Eric Jones on the inside, and Tyler Reddick is able to keep the race lead. We would see Eric Jones starting to make a ton of ground up at that point, but Tyler Reddick was able to keep the lead, and coming off the corner in stage number 1, we would see Tyler Reddick win stage number 1 here at Auto Club Speedway. And then during the caution, we see the others coming down pit road, and Tyler Reddick kept the race lead, and we see Todd Gillen lose a left front right front wheel, which meant he would have to probably likely go to the tail end of the longest lap. So on the restart, Tyler Reddick on the outside and Chase Briscoe on the inside, and we see Tyler Reddick keep the lead for a lap, and then Chase Briscoe, he would take the race lead. And then we see Kyle Busch run into some problems where he had a flat right rear tire, and he would go multiple laps down, but was still in the race running into the apron. And then we would see Denny Hamlin come down pit road for major overheating problems. He was running in the top 10 at that point, and he would come down pit road as well. Meanwhile, we see Christopher Bell spin down in turn number 4, but luckily for him, he didn't get a ton of damage. He basically, unfortunately, gets stuck and will lose a couple laps. And then we see the leaders come down pit road right after that, with Tyler Reddick taking the lead over Chase Briscoe and kept the race lead. And then we would see Kurt Busch, actually, who had a really good pit stop. He would also have issues with overheating as well. And then on the restart, Tyler Reddick on the outside and Chase Briscoe on the inside, and Tyler Reddick was able to keep the race lead. And then we started seeing a battle between William Byron and Tyler Reddick. William Byron's car started really coming in the middle portion of this race, and he took the race lead from Tyler Reddick. And then William Byron would dominate the next portion of this race, and then the next caution of this race will come on lap 111 for Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher spun coming off of turn number 2, bringing out the caution with around 90 laps to go. And then we see all leaders come down pit road with Tyler Reddick actually getting off of pit road first, with William Byron having a terrible piss up where basically the left front pit gun really could not remove the lung, basically broke, and he would drop all the way from 1st to 17th. So then on the restart, Tyler Reddick on the outside and Eric Jones on the inside. And we see, of course, also Kyle Larson, who had also, of course, started here. He was starting to show up in this race as well. And then we see Eric Jones dive to the bottom and basically took the lead off turn 2, but Tyler Reddick got a really, really strong run as well. And then during that lap as well, we see the next caution in this race come out for Brad Keselowski, who got loose from 5th position. He was running up front, starting to get up to the front. He got loose off of turn number 4, trying to run that really low bottom line, and he would spin into the grass. And then we go back racing on lap 122, Tyler Reddick on the outside, Eric Jones on the inside, and we would see Eric Jones dive to the bottom and try to take the race lead, and then Eric Jones lost the lead to Tyler Reddick, and coming off the corner at the end of stage 2, we see Tyler Reddick win stage 2 here. And then we see all leaders basically come down road to take more tires, with Tyler Reddick leading off of pit road. And then Chase Briscoe, I wonder what happened to him. Chase Briscoe had to come back down the road because he had loose to wheels. He had to come down the road to basically tighten them up. So on the restart, you have Tyler Reddick on the outside and Eric Jones on the inside. Tyler Reddick got the lead. Meanwhile, Eric Gomroll, he actually spun off a turn number 4 from 6, but was able to save it and came back down pit road. And then we kept going green for a little bit with Tyler Reddick having the race lead. And then Josh Bilicki basically spun had a flat tire, was slow on the backstretch, and the race remained green. And as NASCAR and Fox was starting, I believe, to go into their crank it up segment, we would see Tyler Reddick have major troubles from the race lead. We would see Tyler Reddick lose a left rear tire while leading from the race and lose a ton of positions after dominating. He would basically fall out of contention in this race. And unfortunately for William Byron, he would run into the back of Tyler Reddick, bringing out the caution of this race. Then the leaders would come down pit road with Eric Jones basically leading after the pit stops. So on the restart, Eric Jones on the outside and Joey Logano on the inside, and Joey Logano actually got around Eric Jones. And meanwhile, Bubba Wallace, who really struggling, he was actually starting to make his way up to the front, but unfortunately, Brad Keselowski and Bubba Wallace are battling for 8th position. Bubba Wallace came up into Brad Keselowski, and unfortunately, Brad Keselowski spun out, and unfortunately collected multiple drivers, including Austin Cindric and Harrison Burton, who Harrison Burton would fall out of the race, and the other drivers would still continue on. And then we see all the cars, some guys decided to come down pit road, including some guys stayed out, basically Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, Chase, those guys stayed out, while the rest of the drivers like Cole Custer decided to come down pit road. So on the restart, 35 laps to go, you had Joey Logano on the outside and Kyle Larson on the inside, and Joey Logano had the race lead, and then a lap later, Kyle Larson was able to get around and take the race lead. And then we keep going for about 5 or 6 more laps with Joey Logano, who, of course, and Ryan Blaney actually got around Joey Logano at that point. But Ross Chastain was spin out coming off of turn number 4 and brought out the caution of this race. And then we see some strategy because Chase Briscoe decided to stay out during that caution while everyone came down pit road. And Ryan Blaney had another really bad pit stop and would drop from 2nd to 9th. And Chase Lane actually was able to win the race off pit road. So on the restart with 22 laps to go, you had Chase Briscoe on the outside and Chase Lane on the inside. And we see Kyle Larson give a huge push to Chase Briscoe to take the race lead. And then, of course, we all see Alex Bowman get into the outside wall. And then controversy struck, with Joey Logano actually trying to send it 3 wide to the inside. You have Kyle Larson in 2nd and Chase Lane in 3rd. Chase Lane has 2 options here. He can get behind Kyle Larson to go to the outside wall. Well, Chase Lane sends it to the outside. Kyle Larson spotter does not tell Kyle Larson that Chase is there, and Kyle unfortunately puts Chase into the outside wall, and because of that, Kyle Larson basically took the race lead. Now I want to talk about that incident for a second. In my opinion, that was on Kyle Larson. I'm a really huge Kyle Larson fan, but at the same time, that was on Kyle Larson. In my opinion, of course, those are my 2 favorite drivers, but in my opinion, that was on Kyle Larson right there. He should have known he was there. I don't know. I'm really surprised that the spotter didn't do a good job. Kyle Larson has made a couple major mistakes this year, and Chase Lane really has every right to be upset in that situation. But because of that, Kyle Larson got the race lead, and then we would see Chase Lane, who basically came up in front of Kyle Larson with tempers flaring, basically sharing his displeasure with Kyle Larson, and we would see then Chase Lane throw some controversy on his own by basically spinning out intentionally to bring out the caution, basically looping it around on purpose to try to bring out the yellow. And then we would see the last pit stops of the race take place, with every driver taking 4 tires, with Kyle Larson winning the race off pit road, with Daniel Suarez gaining 5 positions, and he got up to 2nd. So with 5 laps to go in this race, you had Kyle Larson on the outside and Daniel Suarez on the inside. And Kyle Larson got the race lead on the restart, but Daniel Suarez decided to fight really, really hard and fought really hard for the race lead. Daniel Suarez actually got the lead entering turn number 1 and tried to clear Kyle Larson, but Kyle Larson got a really, really strong run off of turn number 4 and took the lead with 3 laps to go. Daniel Suarez tries a side draft on Kyle Larson, but does not work for him. Then you have a new challenger where Austin Dillon starts really showing up here. Austin Dillon had a speeding penalty earlier in the race, like we mentioned, and he started showing up here late in this race. Austin Dillon tries to send it to the inside, but Kyle Larson gets this really, really strong run on the outside wall corner. And on the last lap, coming to white flag, we would see an incident where Judge Haley would slide through the grass into the inside wall, getting a ton of damage, but NASCAR kept it green. Kyle Larson at that point, though, has scooted away to about a 3 or 4/10 second lead. And coming off the corner, after having to start at the rear, Kyle Larson comes off the corner in the 5 car, and he picks up his first victory of the 2022 season and picks up, I believe, his 17th career NASCAR Cup Series victory. Huge congratulations, Kyle Larson. I don't think Kyle Larson had the fastest car, in my honest opinion. I think some of the guys that were involved in some of the wrecks, unfortunately, did have better cars than Kyle Larson, and he did win it very, very controversially, but it is what it is in that situation right there. But Kyle Larson wins the race, first win of 2022. I think that he is going to win quite a few races this year. Huge congratulations to Kyle Larson. Before we go to the results, I want to talk a little bit more about that situation with Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, in my honest and sincere opinion, Kyle Larson, he did a misjudgment. He was really trying to, in my opinion, I really do believe that Kyle Larson did not know at the time that Chase Elliott was there. But at the same time, that's something that spotter's job they got to do. And in my honest, sincere opinion, that was unfortunately Kyle Larson's fault. It was an accident. It was not intentional. But in my opinion as well, I do believe that Chase Elliott has every right to be upset. Chase Elliott had come back from being multiple laps down and had a shot to contend for the overall victory, but unfortunately got taken out once again twice in this race. So I really don't blame Chase Elliott for being upset right there, in my honest opinion. So I get why Chase Elliott's upset. I really, really get it. And it is unfortunate what happened to Chase Elliott. And I do feel bad for Elliott right there. In my opinion, it was on Chase Elliott. Like I said, my 2 favorite drivers are Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. So it's definitely unfortunate my 2 favorite drivers get into an incident. So in my opinion, it was on Kyle Larson right there. So now let's go ahead and jump into the results of today's race. So Kyle Larson picks up the victory in today's race. Austin Dillon finished the second. Very strong run from Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon was in the back a lot of this race, but he kept clawing back, kept coming back to the front, and gets a runner-up finish. Great run for Austin Dillon. Eric Jones finishes third. Eric Jones had an incredible run today. He really never, most of the day, fell outside the top 5. I think Petty GMS Motorsports is a legitimate team now. They were extremely fast at qualified on the front row. I thought they were going to struggle today, and they proved me wrong. They were one of the 2 or 3 fastest cars. I think they were better than Kyle Larson most of the day, but they had some bad restarts late in the race that really unfortunately took them out of contention. But they get a 3rd place finish regardless. Great run for Eric Jones. Backs up and good start here for Eric Jones. He finishes 3rd. Daniel Suarez with a top 5. I think that Suarez is going to be more competitive this year, and once again, he proves it. A really, really great run in this race. Again, I think he had a decent run the 500 if I remember correctly, but don't remember surely. But he does a really, really good job with a top 5 run. Was in the top 10, top 15 most today. Really good speed out of the 99 car. He finishes in 4th. Joey Logano finishes 5th. Logano was really the fastest cars. He had to drop, also to the rear at the beginning of the race. Really strong run for Joey Logano with a very strong top 5. He finishes in 5th. Eric Almirola finishes 6th. Eric Almirola was a lap down and basically out of contention in this race, and he comes back and finishes in 6th position. Great recovery from Eric Almirola. Great top 10 run. He finishes in 6th. Kevin Harvick finishes 7th. Despite how bad Kevin Harvick ran, because Kevin Harvick absolutely was struggling in today's race, he bounced back to a top 10 run in 7th place. Great run for Kevin Harvick. Kurt Busch finished 8th. Kurt Busch really was nowhere near to be seen really in this race, but he basically came back, bounced back, was in the top 15 at the end of the race, and gets 23-11 racing a top 10. First top 10 for Kurt Busch of 2022. Great run for Kurt Busch. He finishes in 8th. Daniel Hemrick, after being 4 or 5 laps down in this race, bounces back to a top 10 finish after having steering issues. He finishes in 9th place. Great run for Daniel Hemrick today in 9th place. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 7th. I don't know what happened to Stenhouse early in the race. He was really fast early, was contending for the lead at one point, and then the car just really fell off, and then the car started coming back to him. But a good top 10 run from Ricky Stenhouse Jr., kind of a redemption bounce back after the race at Daytona. He finishes in 10th. Cole Custer finished 11th. A good run for Cole Custer in this race. He did have that spinning experience from last week at this yesterday Auto Club. Good run for Cole Custer. He finished 11th, ran top 10 a lot of this race. Austin finished 12th. Solid run for him. Austin did get that damage, which really, I think, affected him. But a decent run for him regardless. Backs up a good run. He finishes in 12th. Mark Truex Jr. finishes 13th. Truex got that damage early in the race as well when he basically almost got sideswiped by both Kyle Larson and Austin. But gets a 13th place finish regardless. Not a bad run. He definitely has got time to work on it. I think he finished 13th last week as well. So consistent. He finishes in 13th. Kyle Busch finishes 14th. Keep in mind, Kyle Busch had multiple issues, and he still bounced back to a top 15 finish. Great comeback for Kyle Busch to finish in the top 15. Denny Hamlin finishes 15th. Not a bad run. I thought Hamlin was going to be more of a contender today, but it's top 15. He finishes in 15th. Chase Briscoe finished in 16th. Chase Briscoe, absolutely, I don't know what happened to their car, but they completely fell off at the end of this race. They were a contender. They had a car that potentially could have won this race, but a 16th place run, and regardless, they've got a lot of work to do. Hopefully they can fix that throughout this year. Ty Dillon finishes 17th. Decent run for him. Ryan Blaney finishes 18th. The pit crew cost him today. He had a car that I think could have contended for the overall victory, but he lost his opportunity to win at the end of the day. Bubba Wallace finishes 19th. Bubba Wallace was nowhere to be seen today until the end. He tried to get up there and then got involved in that wreck, but bounced back to top 20 run. Again, I think he's going to still be in the playoffs because he was 19th, but still, they got to work on the speed of those cars. They were really, really struggling most of the weekend, especially after practice. I thought they were going to be really, really good, and they kind of were disappointed, but they got a top 20 regardless. Todd Gilliland's is solid top 21 for Front Row Motorsports. Not a bad run for him. Garrett Smithley finishes 21st. That's pretty good for Rick Ware. B.J. McLeod finished 22nd. Pretty good run for him. Just Hilly finishes 23rd after the wreck. Ty Reddick finishes 24th. I feel so bad for Ty Reddick. Ty Reddick actually, I think, was going to win this race if not for that tire going down. He had the car to be, once again, the third straight race where something terrible goes wrong, and he has probably one of the fastest cars in the race. Something terrible goes wrong for him. It's unfortunate. He's going to get a win at this point, some point this year, man. He's going to get it done. He's got to get it done. He was so good today. It's unfortunate what happened. He's going to have it coming for him. Alex Bowman finishes 25th after having his issues. He finishes 25th. Chase after his issues and his controversy with Kyle Larson, he finishes in 26th. Brad Keselowski after having his problems, he finishes 27th after going multiple laps down to the tire issues. We'll get to that in a little bit. Corey LaJoie finished 20th. Ross Chastain finished 29th. Josh Blakey finishes 30th. Michael McDowell, I don't know what happened to McDowell. He was running really, really well. It looks like he had some electrical problems that took him out of contention. Cody Ware finishes 32nd. Harrison Burr finished 23rd. William Byron after his wreck finishes 34th. Chris Buescher after his issues finishes 35th. And Christopher Bell after his issues, he finishes 36th in last place. So now let's talk about the race and some other points from this race. First, let's talk about the tire issues. This is one thing that needs to be addressed. The tire issues are a major, major problem with this car. This is something that they did today was basically said that you can stay in the car and you're not out of the race. There is no reason, in my opinion, that a driver should be able to lose 3 or 4 laps in a race because they have their tire go flat. And a lot of this is due to the fact there's no interliners in these cars anymore. This is one thing that needs to be changed. And NASCAR, I think, will be looking to address that. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that later this week, whatever NASCAR decides to do. But they have got to fix that. That's one thing that needs to be fixed because that's something that's going to get really annoying very, very quick. Despite that, this was the first race really of the new next-gen car that really got to see a test of the racing. And holy crap, this race was absolutely amazing. This is by far the best. This is probably the best Auto Club race we've ever seen, and one of the best races I think I've seen as a fan. Had everything that was going for it. He had battles for the lead throughout. There were still dirty air issues, but really not as prominent as it happened in the past. You could get side by side. You could race these guys really, really hard. You can have contact with guys and don't damage your tires. You don't always get cut tires when you get into the outside wall. And overall, this is such an incredible race. And the next gen did an incredible job of racing. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best race Auto Club, for sure, I think, the best race Auto Club I have ever seen. So my score for today's race at Auto Club, I'm going to give today's Auto Club race a 9.8 out of 10. I am almost giving this race a perfect score. The reason that I'm not giving it a perfect score is because of those tire problems, but I'm giving this race a near perfect score. I'm giving it a 9.8 out of 10. It was an incredible race, Auto Club. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to Las Vegas next week, so I think that's going to be really, really good. There have been a lot of uncertainty coming to this event, and Miz put on an incredible show. So anyway, that was today's race review from Auto Club Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as my page as well. Let's get below over that and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about Kyle Larson winning here at Auto Club, and what's your thoughts about today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Kyle Larson on picking up his first win of 2022. Let me know in the comments below. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.